Throwing up the old school picture today because we were playing FIFA on that screen at the time.
Yes,
Ladies and gentlemen, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Straub Bros Sports Show, Footy Friday edition. Big bro Ken Straub, little bro Andrew Straub. Bro, same as last Friday. I already know how you're doing because I've talked to you nonstop since the last show, but tell the people how you doing.
doing good. In terms of excitement, I am ready. However, different than last week, it is currently snowing in Cincinnati right now, and so a little bit less excited about that, but excited nonetheless.
The weather matches the mood. We were late. I am super unprepared and stuff, not ready because dad duties come first. My little guy is not feeling well today, so I had to make sure mom was ready and mom was prepared. Shout out to grandma for coming through as well to hold the fort down while dad runs his mouth. But no, trust me, if it was that important or that needed, I wouldn't be here, but I am good. We're gonna have some fun today.
Yes.
Because on this special episode of Footy Friday, obviously it is going to be an MLS season preview 2024, but this is going to be fun because you're going to get the soccer and footy expertise that you get from the bros, lifelong fans, players, coaches, at multiple levels from travel to college, high school, all of the above. But we're going to dive into the MLS, which if you have listened to any of our footy podcasts, you would know that I have not always full honesty. We got to be here. We got to be honest here on the pod. I've not been a fan. I've been very critical of the league, but after we started the show, one of the original things that we had talked about was a soccer only bro show where we can get super nerdy and super in depth. And it was big, and it was little bro who said it. You got to cover the MLS, bro. We've got to cover it here. And I was kicking and screaming. I absolutely said no. I'm not doing it. I don't want to. The quality of the league is not as high as the EPL and the Champions League, which we cover. And bro was basically just like, yeah, I know. Okay. So he wore me down and I'm in. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through every team. We're going to go through Eastern and Western Conference. However, along this process of narrowing down my teams, I have narrowed it down to 2. Now, I will be 100% honest. I am supposed to, by now, know what team I am picking. I don't. I am being completely honest. On the pod, when we get to the end and we get to the final 2, I will be making my choice live to you as I do. I will dive full in. I'm diving head first. I'm in. I might even, once I drop the cable portion of my cable, I may actually purchase the MLS package on Apple TV. I might put, listen, what do I talk about on this pod? Put your money where your mouth is. But that $12 is a lot. I'm not going to lie. So, but we will see there. But before we get to that part, let's pay some bills. Let's give some love. The 216 Sports Network, Facebook, and YouTube is where you find us. 4th and 15 with Mel and Smooth, The Jay Rich Show, The Ruler's Minute with Rico McGee, Outside Interference, and The Straub Bros Sports Show. Like I said, you can follow us on Facebook, where you can like and get your notifications and get your lives, or you can go to YouTube. You can subscribe. You can be one of our 691 subscribers and counting and rising. Jump in and be a part. But also, while you're there, look for us. Thank you, bro. You were already on top of it. You can follow us on TikTok at the SBSS, Straub Bros Sports Show, on X, formerly Twitter, at Straub Bros Sports. And if you go to your Spotify account, you hit your search bar, and you just type in Straub, you'll find us, that beautiful picture, Straub Bros Sports Show, where you can find all of our episodes back to episode 1, the original United States men's national team footy episode. And you can find last night's episode, which is already up there available for download. Take us with you in the car. Take us with you on your walks. Take us with you when you got to go poop. Wherever you got to go, take us with you. So without further ado, now the way we're going to do this is I'm going to throw a team out there. Little bro is going to kind of give you the good stuff, the nerdy stuff, and I'm going to talk some smack, and I'm going to kind of relate to people who might be just being introduced or only know a little bit about MLS clubs. And I'm also going to give you the reason why I did not choose said club, because some of them are real, some of them are absolutely petty, but I don't care. That's what we do here. And first thing I did see here, so I want to give it some love. Yes, you know your favorite guys is Rockin' Mama. Thank you. Appreciate that. And day 2 of recovery. Shocked. Yeah, I know. Me doing what I do, Pop. You already know. Okay. So, how would we like to get started? We'll want to put up the first graphic and just go from there. Let's dive in first. So, the MLS. Talk to him, Drew. Give him some rules.
Yeah, for those that don't know, the MLS is composed of 28 teams. We got 26 in the U.S., and for all of our lovely Canadians, we have 3 in Canada as well, in Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal. The MLS season is comprised of 34 games per team, going from February to October. So basically replicates the baseball season for all us in the U.S. And then the 18 out of those 29 teams make the playoffs. They are 9 teams per each conference, so it's similar to basketball, where divisions, at least in MLS, don't exist. So it is the 9 best teams from each conference will go. That playoff format is very similar to basketball. But we will get to that down the road once we actually get close to playoffs, because it does take a little bit of time to explain. And right now, we're just looking at the beginning. We're not really looking at what we're doing in October.
Right. Excuse me. So, full honesty to the people, because we're always honest to the people. We don't lie. I'm going to be critical. I'm going to ask questions that sometime put Andrew on the spot and put him in an impossible place, but to give us an answer that I don't always like.
Never.
So one of those things will be first. And here, I'm just going to get it out of the way right now. We'll go full screen. I don't necessarily like the playoffs. I'm not a fan. Okay. Now, what they do in the MLS is they also award the Supporter Shield, and that is for the team that finishes the regular season with the most points. The exact way every other league around the world awards their soccer and football champion. That has always been, and you know this, it's always been my number one criticism of this league, is they do not follow everyone else's format. We Americanized it. We had to do our own. But they do award that. Last year's winner would be that man sitting across from me's team, FC Cincinnati. And then when we go into the playoffs, the winner of that would obviously get the MLS Cup. That is who's that awarded to. I do want to point out before we even get to your team has been chirping this offseason, saying that they are the true champions of the league because they won that Supporter Shield. So let's get to the news and notes of the MLS first. Drew, how do you feel about that?
It's, I mean, as your team.
Would you like to reserve that and save that for when we do talk about FC Cincinnati?
No, we can talk about it now.
Okay.
Because that was last season, so we'll get into a new season when we get to them. So first, I'd like to say I don't mind the playoffs, mostly because obviously it's a very American thing to have a playoffs. And so while obviously it is vastly different from everywhere else in Europe and stuff like that, I do kind of like it just because I am so used to a playoff format in other sports. So it doesn't bother me as much just because I've watched the NFL where the 1 seed has lost before. I've watched the NBA where the same things happen. I watched the MLB where the same thing happens. And so it doesn't bother me as much. In terms of Cincinnati, I'm always going to be like, well, yeah, we are the champions because, they're my team. However, there's a reason why there's a playoffs. You are great throughout the regular season. You basically stayed healthy throughout amount of time and got really lucky. But when the playoff comes, that is who is the best team for 90 minutes. It's not when, this person's hurt or this person was on a yellow card accumulation, red card, and couldn't play. This is for 90 minutes, what is the best team? Unfortunately, in the conference finals last year, Columbus was the better team. We got out-coached. We had unfortunately some untimely injuries during the game, and our defense let us down in the end. So it's what happens. I will say we are the regular season champions. that is thing. I don't even want to put that up onto the screen, but I know you will. It really hurt when we did that, but congrats to Columbus. They had a great season and they topped it off with an MLS Cup. So congrats to them.
Yes. This is so promotion relegation. It's my issue with American soccer just in general. It's what's needed. The unfortunate part is American owners. They're not gonna they're not gonna go for that. When all of the teams in the MLS or when it's overcrowded and there's no more room left, then maybe it'll possibly happen. But that has been that's been my issue there. So it's also, and of course you're gonna say FC Cincinnati is the champion because you also don't buy into the playoffs in terms of soccer. You treat it like a cup. So little confusing there, but for our American fans, treat it like American sports. You have a regular season and the playoffs. Refresh my memory. Is this Mr. Man City?
No, that is Dortmund.
Oh, that's Dortmund. I apologize, Tyler, for ever putting you in the same sentence with that club. But yeah. We are we're not anti Borussia around here. Okay, now are we ready to get started?
Yes.
Okay, so first things first. I like this one. This is a beautiful little thing Drew put together or stole. I don't care. It's whatever.
No, I put it together. Come on.
Yes. So those are your Eastern and Western Conference teams. Obviously, in the Eastern Conference, Atlanta United, Charlotte FC, the Chicago Fire, FC Cincinnati, the Columbus Crew, your defending champions, DC United, Inter Miami, FC Montreal, Nashville, the New England Revolution, New York FC, the New York Red Bulls, Orlando City, Philly, and Toronto FC in the East. So we are going to start in the Eastern Conference. Drew, these are in order, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right, so let's dive in with our first team. Atlanta United, obviously, see, as you joined in 2017. So, Drew, I will throw it to you for some serious stuff before I just tell jokes.
Yeah, Atlanta, a very historic club for the times that they've been in. Very popular and also always has a great crowd. Last year,
I apologize in advance for when I make a face sometimes when you say historic club, because I do have to remember these clubs have not been around for that long, but yeah. I apologize.
I would say for future reference for everyone, the oldest clubs were joined the MLS in 1996. So you're only about 26 years.
I'm older. I am older than all of the clubs in the MLS. So yes. That's what that means.
Yeah. Thank God I'm not, but we're good. So yeah, like I said, Atlanta United, big club, always looked at as a club that wants to do big things. Last year, not great. 6 in the East when they finished. They lost the first round to Columbus. And then in the offseason, they did lose Miles Robinson to FC Cincinnati. However, they revamped their team. They had 3 really big signings. And the biggest thing is they kept Thiago Almada for the time being. And Thiago Almada is a very, very talented midfielder that has been getting a lot of traction in Europe. So we'll see how long he stays there. But for now, a lot of high hopes for Atlanta. I have a feeling they're going to kind of just be the same, middle of the road in the conference kind of team, but you never know.
So we may have to switch up the format here, and I may have to go first because you're stealing all my stuff. Because the first thing I have, and I apologize, I'm making sure the socials are together. Here's the first thing I have. And you took it kind of off bat. So no Miles Robinson? Oh, okay. Yeah, and here's what I do know. I do know Thiago Almada is that guy. Okay, I don't need to be an MLS fan to know that he is not just a very talented player in general, but he is a worldly talented player. So there is no doubt about that. No Miles Robinson, not a huge American presence.
Caleb Wiley's at left back, I will say.
I can't root for a team in a dome. I know that's being picky, fair. But I had to be picky.
Especially our conversation yesterday.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Please do not do this. We will not do any more Browns relocation talk today. But yeah, so if I had to be picky, I had to pick some teams out. Atlanta, you're kind of too new. You're not as new. You're in the mid. You're mid in terms of new. No cap. So no American presence. Not enough for me. No rooting for Atlanta. Sorry, Atlanta FC. You are out. Okay, let's go to number 2. Go ahead. That would
Yes.
be Charlotte FC, a relatively new club, as you see,
Very
2022.
new, yes.
You know what I first said? Man, no Ric Flair? We can't get Ric Flair involved in Charlotte FC at all? I mean, Ric Flair is everywhere. We can't get Ric Flair involved in Charlotte FC. Come on. Here's what I do have, and this was a good one I found out. Dean Smith, our Dean
Yes.
Smith, our EPL Dean Smith is the
Yes.
manager at Charlotte FC. And here's what I do know. A massive atmosphere, a great atmosphere for a club that just came in. And I do want to give, because I've been kind of somewhat of a hater as we've started this podcast, every new club is arguably at the top in terms of attendance, support. Like, you are not bringing in cities that are on the kind of, no, absolute on top of it. So applause to you, Charlotte FC, a good market down there, but give the people some facts, give the people some good stuff.
Yeah. Like I said, they joined in 2022, so they've only had 2 full seasons under their belts. They've finished 9th in the league both seasons. However, with the new expanded playoffs last year, that was enough to make the playoffs.
Right.
They did lose to the Red Bulls in the wild card round, but very hopeful with this head coaching experience, former Aston Villa and Norwich manager Dean Smith. They are looking to take a step here, which is very exciting. However, they did lose a lot of players early on in the transfer window. So they might take a step just with the coaching prowess that is coming in. However, with the lack of talent, and especially the talent that's left, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to take that step or not. Kind of similar to Atlanta, where there are good changes, but there's also some bad changes that I'm really not sure if they'll take a big step or not.
For the sake of believing in Dean Smith, I don't believe that they will be at the bottom of the table, but I'm not also sure if they're going to make the playoffs. So I don't think they'll necessarily be in that playoff hunt. For me, no offense, Charlotte, there was just no connection there. You're really new. I'm going to tell you now, should I play spoiler on the new teams? It probably will not be any of the new teams that I am picking. No offense. If there was a new team that happened to pop up in Cleveland, shout out to the bid for the Cleveland FC to try to get a women's team. We at the Straub Bros Sports Show absolutely back that bid.
Please.
Because not only do I want to be a part of that and cover that, I want to be in here rocking some shirts for Cleveland. Cleveland FC, get at us. Just throwing it out there. No connection there for me for Charlotte. So sorry. Good luck this year, but you're out. This one would be fun and easy. Chicago Fire FC. They are they're one of the original boys, basically, joined in 1998. Here, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. The last thing I remember about the Chicago Fire was Bastian Schweinsteiger, former Manchester United and Bayern Munich midfielder.
Wow.
Okay, that was the last time I cared about what the Chicago Fire were doing. Except I have been up and I know who they have signed in the past couple of years, and we would keep this very short, very sweet, very easy. Shaqiri, former Liverpool player. I'm out. I'm good. When your best player is a former Liverpool player, I'm out. Like, that's too easy.
No,
Glory.
that's fair.
Man United.
And speaking of signings, they have signed a couple pretty decent people this year. Hugo Kuipers from Ghent. They signed really good striker, and U.S. men's national team vet Kellen Acosta. So
which I think I may have sent that to you when they
might have.
I think I get some credit there. I may have dipped into some news breaking to the two of us.
So we'll see. Also, shout out to my friend Dea, because Shaqiri is Albanian. So shout out to Shaqiri there. So there is hope in Chicago. However, they were 13th in the East last year. They really showed no real punch in them. So to make the playoffs, I think more is needed. However, like I said, there is hope and there is a plan in place to potentially get them higher up the standing. So we will see what happens in Chicago.
Absolutely. All right, let's keep it rolling. So who do we have next? Yes. This one is going to be a fun one. And that would be newcomer FC Cincinnati Cue the logo, cue the man wearing the colors, cue the man wearing the jersey. A newbie joined in 2019. There was absolutely, here, we'll get this one all over the place and out of the way easy. There was absolutely zero chance in hell I was picking your team as my team. Okay. That's just, we now have two teams overall that we root for together, or three: the U.S. men's team, the Cavaliers, and the Guardians. Okay,
Yeah.
if you want to throw in Wrexham, we can, but that's it. Okay, other than that, no, there's no chance for that. So here's what I would say, and because we've known about this and I've known about this, no Brandon Vasquez. He recently left the club because he went to, because I need to remember how to say it. Yeah, I don't remember. But
Monterrey.
Oh yeah, you went to Monterrey. Okay, my bad. So you lost Brandon Vasquez. So no Vasquez, no chance. Tell me why I'm wrong.
That's tough. We had a lot of moves. We had some guys coming in, guys coming out. Like we said earlier, we had Yerson Mosquera leave, but we brought Miles Robinson in. I think that's definitely an upgrade, at least in the backfield, pairing with Matt Miazga, both U.S. men's national team center backs.
We wanted Miles Robinson to go into Europe. He wanted that move. We wanted that move for him. If teams are not ready for him and the offer wasn't good enough, then go to the top of the MLS.
Yeah.
If you're good, then max out where you're at. And I feel like Miles Robinson is doing that and going to FC Cincinnati.
I completely agree. I appreciate the comment there.
The last one.
So that was a good move. We did have some bad moves, like you said. Brandon Vasquez moved to Monterrey. We signed Corey Baird. He's good. He's not at the level of Brandon Vasquez was. So time will tell, I think, really where we're going to be at in terms of improving or staying the same. Lucho Acosta, the reigning MVP in MLS, is still on our team. Ended with the best record in the league last year. Lost to Columbus in the conference finals after our own mistakes. So I think you have put a high floor on that. Where your ceiling is, we will see. I think your floor is at least the conference finals, maybe the conference semifinals. I think your ceiling should be an MLS Cup at the very least this year.
Absolutely. Now, we know how hard it is to replace goals. Okay.
Yeah.
The lower, and this is no disrespect, because we talk about the Premier League week in, week out. That is number one, if not number two, in terms of the strongest leagues in the world. The lower you go down into some of these leagues, the harder it's going to be sometimes to replace those goals and replace that stuff. So let's see how you do replacing Brandon Vasquez. Like you didn't just replace a guy. You replace somebody who might switch his allegiance national team level because he's not getting the love that he believes he deserves, and we would agree. And he is scoring and wants to go and play in Europe. So all of this above, it could be tough for you. And the answer to your question, Drew, was yes. But we'll see what happens with your FC Cincinnati. I do agree on this, though. You have the reigning MLS MVP. The playoffs is a must. Like that there is no excuse to not make the playoffs. You have two center backs that are U.S. men's national team quality. I know Miazga doesn't get called up anymore, but it is what it is. Miles Robinson is there. Everyone who watches any footy on this pod knows my love for Miles Robinson. So, yes, we will see what happens there. Moving on to my next team, DC United, an original OG from 1996. I'm just going to reminisce here for a minute. How great could this have been if we were doing the podcast while Wayne Rooney was player / coach of DC United? Man. Like this would have been a no bueno decision, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, it would have been full Wayne Rooney. I wouldn't have even bought a DC United stuff. I'd have just worn my Manchester United gear. But that could have been awesome. But I do also, speaking of Wayne Rooney, Steve Birnbaum, who've been around as long as Wayne Rooney, still playing there for DC United. But I'm gonna this is another short and sweet and easy one. DC United's best player, arguably, forward, Christian Benteke, formerly of Liverpool. You're out. Sorry, DC United. Gotta go. But good luck. Not really. Not even going to give you a whole lot of good luck this year. Yeah, have fun with Christian Benteke.
No, that's very fair. And honestly, you wouldn't be picking that great of a team if I'm being honest. 12th in the
Ooh.
East. They cleaned house this offseason. They appointed a new GM. They appointed Troy Lesesny as a head coach. He was the caretaker manager for Red Bulls when they fired their coach last season. 10 new players came in. Is a complete reset. A very, very historic club in terms of MLS. They're trying to just return to the top, and they've been very low these past couple years. And so I think a clean house is needed. So we'll see what happens with these kind of resets, and especially the MLS. It could be a very, very quick turnaround, or it could be a massive disaster. And I think time will tell really what that'll be.
Yeah. Okay. So, gonna skip one more, Drew, because we're gonna save them for last in the Eastern Conference, since that'll be fun. So, yes, our next team, CF Montreal, joined in 2012, but a team that has heritage that actually reaches, if I'm not correct, far back into almost the 70s. Does this Montreal club, historic? So I'm not gonna get on them for any of that. But spoiler alert, my team will be in America. So no, I will not be picking any of the Canadian teams. And I have an overall. This is where I'm going to get a bit critical of a decision or a league thing. So give me some love, or give Montreal some love, and give us some background on Montreal before I ask my overarching question.
Yeah. So I'll go back to about 2 years ago. They had Georgi Mihailovic. Was taking the league by storm. They were, I think, second in the East 2 years ago.
Come on, you got to throw that FIFA God.
Yeah.
God.
Absolutely killed it when we played with him. He left. A lot of other players left, and they sank pretty bad. They went about 10th in the East last year, but there's room for hope.
Okay.
They signed a new head coach, Laurent Courtois, which actually is pretty funny, signing a French coach to a French-Canadian team. He managed Columbus's second team that won a league title in 2022. They signed former league MVP and Golden Boot winner Josef Martinez, who won it for Atlanta and actually looked pretty good when he played for Inter Miami last year. A lot of other solid pieces. In my opinion, this is a sleeper team that I think will do a lot better than people will expect this year. And so watch out for Montreal, I think, to kind of come up out of nowhere as this young team led by some veterans that's going to do, I think, a good job.
Okay. So I want to preface my overarching question. I mean, zero disrespect. Okay. I love the National Hockey League. So I do not mind teams from Canada. I kind of like the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm not going to lie.
Mm-hmm.
I can't randomly tell you why I kind of like them. It's just a team that I rooted for. Well, the reason we need Canadian teams in the NHL is because hockey is Canada's game. Okay. They have strong teams. They had original teams. The Canada has a Premier League, the Canadian Premier League. Would they not, and would North America not benefit more if Montreal, Toronto, and I'm sorry, the third one, Vancouver, would they not benefit more if they were in the Canadian Premier League? The same way, the same way that once upon a time ago, Chivas was in the MLS, Chivas USA. They were in the MLS, and then they made the right decision and they went back to Liga MX, that's where they should be. So that would be my overall question to you. Would it benefit both the leagues and North American soccer as a whole if those teams were back in the Canadian Premier League?
So I get what you mean there, because Chivas, as soon as they went down to Mexico, they came and they're still this historic team that continues to play in Liga MX. I think the difference is, so when you look at average attendance in the MLS right this season, it's about 22 to 23,000 people.
Okay.
When you look at the Canadian Premier League, it's about half that. And
would some big monster brands bring in some fans, especially if it's not just one team, it's three?
So I think this is, if we're in a perfect world, yes. In a world where we have owners that are getting the most bang for their buck and already have other American sports teams in that
Yeah,
city,
yeah.
benefiting for the more attendance, the more dollars with those teams is why they are in America. If Canada had a very big soccer presence like Mexico does, they would be in that league. I think just because of that, I think that's your big reason.
Or if the MLS said, "Hey, we bought the Canadian Premier League. You're going to get the same TV deal and the same
Right.
same money, but we're going to redesign this and we're going to let the 3 Canadian teams go play in Canada, and then we'll do an open cup like we do with the U.S. and Mexico. Then you could have all three. We could have a legit um Champions League style, but." Hey, I am pipe dreaming here, but I also want relegation to the MLS. So I understand that I'm asking for a
It's
lot
going to
here.
be
All
a
right.
lot.
Right. Getting heavy there on that one. So moving on, but I felt that was a question. I won't ask it again. I'm not going to promise you I won't ask it again for the other 2 Canadian teams just to
That's
redo it
fair.
again. All right. Our next team, another relatively new team, Nashville SC, a club that is kind of basically hit the ground running from the get-go and has been pretty successful. Nashville, what I do love me about some Nashville is they have a very good United States men's national team presence. Um,
Yes.
but I will throw it back over to you to talk about some of those. Not that,
Yeah.
and I
So,
just want to say, it's not that I don't know what's going on, but this is the fun here. I get to
oh,
ask the
yeah,
fun questions and be a clown, and Drew gets to be smart.
definitely. Um, But yeah, no, like you said, the American presence. They have three that are at least two that are guaranteed starters. A third one, I'm assuming, will be. Center back Walker Zimmerman started in some World Cup games. Right back Shaq Moore, who came in for a World Cup game, and before Georgi Mihalovic, former FIFA god,
Mm-hmm.
U.S. winger Tyler Boyd has signed in this offseason. I think that is definitely needed. Ever since their start, they started hot and then it's kind of cooled off since then. They finished 7th in the East last year with a loss to Orlando in the first round. And in these past 2 seasons, they've really relied on striker and former MVP Hani Mukhtar. Um, so more attacking threats are needed to really go further and advance in the MLS. And so I think Tyler Boyd's a great signing. However, we'll see if the coach still changes that method, because it seems like it the goal is get the ball to Hani as soon as it's in the attacking third, and that's it.
Right. Um, I like this Nashville team. I'm good. They were in the final probably 8 to 5 teams. I'll be 100% honest, or may actually probably top 5. I like this Nashville team. Um, I like they are a decent close proximity. Not that actually, I mean, was 100% in my decision making, but they're close. Like I said, I wasn't picking the Canadian teams. No offense, I love you, Canada. Just that's it's too far away for the connection. But and a huge United States men's national team presence. I love that. I am big on stuff like that. But you have your own thing going in Nashville, and I'm kind of not always that. That's not always. I'll use what Little Bros described as that's not really my vibe. That's not really my. That's not my thing,
Exactly.
and that's
Exactly.
okay. That's okay. I still like me some country music. I love me some Chris Stapleton.
Some Dolly.
Um, some
Love me some Dolly.
absolutely some Dolly. Yeah, but sorry, Nashville. No disrespect, but you're out. All right, moving on to another original OG, the New England Revolution. Once again, 1996. Um, huh. Here's what I mean. Bruce Arena, not there anymore, but was Bobby Wood City. A United States men's national team favorite of ours, Bobby Wood plays there, and um Dewan Jones, another United States men's national team player. So I was doing my homework. And you can kind of go into a little bit more about the other stuff, but the New England Revolution.
Yeah. You typically a pretty solid team. They've been good. They've been consistent the past couple years. They were 5th in the East last year. They did lose to Philly in the first round, which unfortunately is a very common theme to a lot of MLS teams. However, there was a major shakeup this offseason. Bruce Arena resigned due to some inappropriate remarks. Um,
Um,
so
and Bruce Arena, accomplished on not just the MLS level. He's regarded as by many. Remember, I'm taking just a coach here in this perspective.
Yes.
Regarded as by many as one of the greatest MLS coaches of all time, possibly the greatest, and probably the second or third most successful and best, or no, I'm sorry, first, honestly, most successful United States men's national team coach as well. So disappointing. No excuse there from Bruce. We've actually talked about this. We didn't actually talk about it on any of the pods, but me and you personally talked about this, and we kind of had the same response, which was not surprised at all. Don't care in terms of should we think about protecting or looking. No, go away. Just go away. See you later. So see you, Bruce Arena. We got to talk about who they hired as his replacement, though.
Yes, 100%.
A name that not just you are familiar with, and soccer fans should be familiar with in the United States, but I am familiar with very, very well.
Yes, and so I want to preface this: New England team is very young, so it would be tough for a turnaround. But New England hired basically the one guy to make a fast turnaround, and that is former Columbus Crew and Portland Timbers manager and former two-time MLS Cup winner Caleb Porter. He is basically very well known for coming in and turning teams around instantly. So New England is very interesting coming into this year.
I want to preface this by none of those places are where I know Caleb Porter from. I know Caleb Porter from his time as head coach of the Akron Zips. If you don't know, before, and I want to get I needed the timeline. Yeah, it was 2006 to 2012. Before he took over as the U23 manager for the United States and then went to Portland and then Columbus, Caleb Porter turned Akron, yes, our little Akron over here by me, 20 minutes away, into a national powerhouse. Okay. You can go look up some of the names of the guys that played there. You'll recognize some of those names. They played in the MLS. But Caleb built a dynasty, a machine at Akron. They were beating up teams that Ohio States and North Carolinas and Notre Dame's and people like that. So that's where I first knew, because obviously 2007, that is when I graduated high school. So I absolutely applied at the University of Akron. Any of us who played soccer in the state of Ohio during the years of 2006 through 2012 tried to go to the University of Akron and play at Akron and do all of that. So listen, I loved my time at Notre Dame College. I absolutely enjoyed it there. But yeah, we all tried to get to Akron. So I didn't get cut or anything like that. I couldn't get into their business school. We had some issues. So it was academic. Okay. Athletic wise, I would have been a starter. So it's no question there. New England, here's the problem. You play in Gillette Stadium. Your owner is Robert Kraft. You got too many Patriots ties. I apologize for being petty, but I said I was going to be petty in some of my decisions. New England Revolution, you're out. All right. Now, this is going to be a funny and an easy one. If you see the logo, you should know why this next team is not my decision and I will not be picking. And that would be New York City FC. They joined somewhat like Atlanta 2015, not an old club, not a super new club, relatively there. They are, let's just get it out of the way. They are a family. I don't know exactly how it's referred to in soccer, but yeah, they are a family-owned club of, you see those ugly colors, Manchester City. Absolutely not. So obviously right away, everyone knows, glory, glory, Man United, get this itty stitty stuff off my screen. And I ain't picking no team from New York.
No, that's very fair. And honestly, you wouldn't be picking that great of a team either. Finished 11th of the East last year. They had some solid signings from Argentina and Germany. It's a good start, but I really don't think it moves the needle enough. I also want to say this, and I want to go on for those that don't know, New York City FC or NYCFC.
You're going to cover my second biggest gripe with the league.
Mm-hmm. And I will. NYCFC plays currently in Yankee Stadium. Now,
let's throw back to yesterday.
Well, hold on. Now, in New England, if they play in Gillette, 9 times out of 10, you can get away with it because they only play on Sundays, sometimes Mondays, sometimes Thursdays. You know what happens if NYCFC hosts a playoff game? They have to contend with the Yankees during the postseason. And so every single time there's, well, where's New York going to play? Well, they can't play in a road game because that would be unfair. So it has to be neutral. Yeah. Get your own stadium or share it with the Red Bulls. Like, I don't care. Get out of Yankee Stadium because one, it's a logistical nightmare, but two, it looks so bad. It looks terrible when you play on it.
Team me up, bro, because
get out of here.
I'm right, and we're gonna rant together, bro. So, wait, I feel like this is more Bronny to LeBron, so that's okay. That just sideswiped the shit out of you and you just didn't say anything. I appreciate you. So first of all, get a stadium. I understand it's New York City. Don't put a team in New York City if you don't want a stadium. Oh, the New York Red Bulls have one. So yes, share it. Here's the other thing. They wouldn't be the first major soccer team to share a stadium. Their names are AC and Inter Milan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Crazy how that works.
The two biggest giants, okay, in Italian soccer. I apologize, Juventus fans. Don't come for us. But two of the biggest giants in Italian soccer share a stadium. So I don't want to hear it. The Jets and the Giants share a stadium. Red Bulls and FC share a damn stadium.
I agree.
I don't want to hear it. You want to be a legit, and here, this is where I get bothered. You want to be a legitimate league. You want me to take you serious. The team in your biggest market should have its own stadium.
Yeah, I agree.
And you could argue that they've, in terms of popularity, that they've taken over the Red Bulls. I know the Red Bulls are popular, but New York FC, like, they have a brand, they have a thing. Like, come on. But all right.
Speaking of,
hey, the New York Red Bulls, an original OG. Yes, if you do follow this pod and you do follow our European soccer, you know that Red Bull name. It is the Red Bull that you are thinking of. Red Bull Leipzig, Red Bull Salzar, Red Bull, all the other things. Red Bull, I'm not sure because there's like literally 100 of them at this point. But the New York Red Bulls, as I already said, I wasn't picking a team from New York, so we already know. Spoiler alert, that's out of the way. But tell us about a very not bad, but not great, kind of in the middle of the road New York Red Bulls team.
Yeah, you said exactly. Very middle of the road. They finished 8th in the East, so literally out of 15 teams, directly in the middle. They lost to Cincinnati in the first round. But, however, they did have a great signing in the offseason. Red Bull Leipzig, which if you watch soccer and you'll realize all the Red Bull players kind of go from one Red Bull team to another. They kind of go up the ladder in terms of how good you are because the system is very much the same from team to team. But Red Bull Leipzig standout, Emil Forsberg, very, very talented. Honestly, I feel like could very well be a signing to get them finally out of the middle of the pack and into a top 5 position, just because I think if he kind of has a standout season, everyone around him is going to play a little better. And so we'll see what happens here because that transition should be very smooth moving from Red Bull team to Red Bull team. So we will see there.
I mean, not just that. I mean, just in terms of, and I know he's 32, he is a little older, but he's not just going to be able to fit right in. He's going to be able to kind of press and do his own thing. Okay. So, yes, let's get warm weather. We need some. Our next team, Orlando City SC, kind of like I think that was our other newcomer, not super new, but not super OG. In the middle there, 2015. I had a question because I was like, oh, Orlando City, that's where Kaká played. Kaká, Brazilian legend, Kaká. Oh yeah, he's not there anymore. They do have. I want to point out. Michael Holiday, US 20 international in terms of their American presence, and Facundo Torres, an absolute beast and a monster. Yes. But yeah, talk to us a little bit about Orlando City FC.
Yeah, hey, listen, if you're looking for a team and you like to see players move from the MLS to Europe, Orlando City, along with Philadelphia, which we'll touch on, is a very big team for that. Daryl DK, who's currently at West Brom, was there. Nicolas Gioacchini started there before moving to Europe. And so very big. Duncan McGuire, who was about to make a move before the paperwork fell through. So a team that is very okay with allowing their young players to move on to Europe. So fun to watch. And also, they're, even though they move players, they're not bad. They were second in the East last year. They lost to the defending champions Columbus in the conference finals. And this was a massive leap for them last season. If they can get some depth signings, I think the really test is if the players can prove it wasn't just a hot season, they could really have a quality team here.
This is the exact same thing I could have said about Charlotte. Good atmosphere, love it all. No hate, no kind of no real reason. Just don't have a feeling, don't have a connection with Orlando City. Good luck to you. But no.
That's very fair.
Yes. Now let's get to them. The big bad Philadelphia Union. Basically what hit another team like Nashville that absolutely hit the ground running since they've joined in 2010, kind of had one little stretch of bad play in that first season into the second season, and then that has been it. Philly has been good. They have put a quality team there in Philly. Talk about them. You know them very well.
Yeah, listen, Philly has done basically what they've done since they've started. They've kept their core players, and they basically bank that their youth is going to pan out. Jack McGlynn is a very big part of that core, that youth that comes up, and it shows out. They were fourth in the East last year. They did lose to Cincinnati in the conference semis. They are good enough to win, to get to the big games, to win, to get to the top 5 in the league before the playoffs, to get to those conference semis, conference finals, even the MLS Cup. But the trouble has been for Philadelphia Union in the past couple of years. Are they good enough with just banking on their core and their youth signing, their youth team? Are they good enough to win those big games? They lost to LAFC in the MLS Cup 2 years ago. They then lost to LAFC again in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. They then lost to Cincinnati in the conference semis. They are a good team, but it seems like they're just not able to get over the hump of being good enough in that one season to get you a championship or get you a trophy.
Yeah, and here I'm gonna give some analysis and also let you know what my choice is. Yeah, of course a Philly team struggles to get over the hump. Ha ha. Ha ha. Yeah, terrible. Straight. This is what was an easy one. I wouldn't pick a team from New York. I ain't picking no team from Philly. Okay, absolutely not. Sorry, apologies. So no Philadelphia Union. But I will say this: just like the current Philadelphia Eagles, I respect Philly. Like, I do know what they have put together there with the Union. Like you said, it's been pretty quality, constant playoff appearances. We will see them there again this year. But yeah, I hope you choke again. Moving on. And I won't ask the question, I promise. And that would be Toronto FC. I'm going to call Toronto an OG because, I mean, 2007, let's be real.
They feel like it.
Yeah. But Toronto FC, no Josie Altidore, no Michael Bradley. Damn, that's a tough one. Tell me about Toronto FC.
Yeah, Toronto had a tough year, man. They were dead last in the entire league after having the highest payroll in the MLS when they signed Lorenzo Insigne and Bernadeschi. So very little wiggle room to really make any moves. Michael Bradley retired, former U.S. Manager and sporting director for Toronto. Bob Bradley was fired, but there is some hope. They hired former Canadian men's national team manager John Herdman for their manager position, which I think is a really good move. I think John Herdman gets the best out of his players, as seen by the Canadian national team. Did have a poor World Cup, but everywhere else was really, really good. But yeah, I think this team is highly dependent on Herdman to turn this team around. However, there was a report that came out that they played a friendly against Columbus that they basically they made Columbus promise not to release the score of. However, as journalists do, it came out They had lost to Columbus 4-2, so not looking terribly great. And I'm pretty sure that Columbus did not play most of their starters in that game. So not looking too great, but it is early, so I can't give them too crap. But yeah, Toronto has not looked good.
I think I want to give more smack to the coach for taking preseason friendlies so importantly that you're blocking the score from coming out. Like that would and that's a veteran coach. That's an international World Cup. Like do better. Be better there. So yeah, that's a tough one. But I mean in terms of like I said, so the important question. Should the Canadian No, I'm joking. We're not going to do that. So we got to get to the big dog. Everybody wants to talk about them. They're everybody's new favorite,
Yeah,
and that would
yeah.
be Inter Miami, David Beckham's team. We know the names: Lionel Messi, Luis Suarez, Sergio Busquets, um,
Jordi Alba.
Jordi Alba, Zlatan, Samuel
Captain
Eto'o,
America, the Hulk,
um, uh,
Spider-Man.
JJ Watt, Kevin Durant. Yeah, Bronny might go there. Um, but yeah, they're everybody's new favorite darling. Listen. Me and you have talked about this at nauseating lengths. So it's actually good that we get to bring it here to the pod. I actually think it'll be fun. I love that Messi is here. I love it. Okay. I do think, and I tweeted this, or I don't think I tweeted it. I think I Facebooked it. So if we ever go viral, someone will find it. This is an A+ player in a C+ league, though. Like we have to be honest about just
Yeah.
facts. Okay. So he should dominate. He should stand around in the middle of the pitch and just walk back and forth and be wide open a lot. But the problem is, and I'm gonna give some credit and some love. Yeah, I've got my own Inter Miami thoughts here, and I'm gonna give some love to Taylor Twellman because I agree with him. The gone are the yes, individual talent can still be brilliant and shine above most. Okay, on the MLS level. However, a team of just a bunch of old guys, because let's be real, that's what this is not just going to go out and dominate in the MLS. They are going to beat up on the bad teams because the quality will show through. But there are going to be nights where they just get outrun and they get out physical because at the end of the day, when you're tired, you're tired. And I know their quality will, like I said, will always shine. But how much can that quality overcome the fact that you're 5 yards behind?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely correct. And honestly, this team wasn't that good before these players came in. They were 14th in the East. They finished 14th in the East. They had 34 points to end the season. 16 of those points came after Messi came into the league, which was after 2/3 of the season was already over. Mm-hmm. So you have these great players that came in, but the lack of depth is really concerning, which if you have old players, they are going to need to rest. And if you have a big game coming up in a cup game, or if it's a back-to-back week, you are going to rest those big players. And so they are going to be favorites in the MLS Cup. They're one of the 4 or 5 teams I could actually see winning the thing. Mm-hmm. However, this could fall apart really quickly depending on how this gets done. So we'll see.
Absolutely. I agree. Messi walked in there and single-handedly walked them to the cup.
Open Cup, yeah.
The US Open Cup final. But he was fatigued by the end of it and could barely play. You then add in the entire MLS regular season, like these guys are not going to play. And once again, stealing from Taylor Twellman, Luis Suarez, I don't know if I did mention him, apparently can't train.
Yeah.
Apparently cannot train without his knee and quad acting up. So, like, yeah, the quality is going to come through. I know he dominated the Brazilian league last year. No, I know I'm critical of the MLS, but no, okay, on the Brazilian league. I'm just saying, like, that's not, when we're talking quality, like, that's not going to be there. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk for Inter Miami is basically what I mean. Okay.
That's fair.
Okay. So what I'm going to do real quick, obviously, if you're paying attention, you know what's going on. But we are going to take a quick 30-second to a minute break to let us reset. And when we come back, we will come back with the Western Conference. We talking about practice? We talking about practice, Teeter? Yes, we are. There will be no practice for Luis Suarez. So, like I said, we are going to take a very quick 30-second break, and we will be right back. Welcome back. I don't know if I was actually 30 seconds, but all good. Welcome to the Straub. No. Welcome back, like I said, to the Straub Bros Sports Show. And as we finish up the Eastern Conference, we will now jump into the Western Conference. Austin FC, Colorado Rapids, FC Dallas, the Houston Dynamo, Sporting Kansas City, LAFC, the LA Galaxy, Minnesota FC, Portland Timbers, Real Salt Lake, San Jose Earthquakes, Seattle Sounders, and newcomer it's St. Louis it's St. Louis City FC.
Yes.
And then the Vancouver Whitecaps. All right. Right in diving head first. Austin FC, another newcomer, 2021. I already have some Cowboys, obviously love. So, this could easily be a choice. But let's talk about Austin FC, bro.
Yeah, I mean, they had massive expectations going into the season and kind of flopped. They got 12th in the West. However, that was due to a lot of injuries early on, just couldn't get their footing. They signed a lot of veteran guys, but I think the main thing is you stay healthy, you're going to contend for a playoff for Austin. And so I think that they just chalked it up to a freak injury year, kind of similar to what the Browns did in a way. And they're going to run it back with the same team next year. Or this year, I guess. So maybe not a favorite, but I think someone that can make some noise.
Are we talking about the Cowboys? Yeah. This is a lot of these newer teams. I have the same vibe and feeling about. I love their atmosphere. Austin FC, like I said, thundering expectations in the door, especially when you look at teams like Philadelphia. And I have to throw up the other graphic because the names don't always come quickly off of the tongue. Atlanta, that's what I was thinking of. Nashville, Atlanta, Orlando, even like these teams in Philly, these teams coming in and not just being like, oh, we're here, but we are here. We're in the playoffs. We're in the second round.
Cincinnati.
We're in the right. Cincinnati, the prime example, walked in the door and said, no, we're not just here. We're top team. So, yeah. And they even wear green and black. Like, it was all there, like Bedford Bearcat colors. They played next to the Cowboys. I couldn't do it, Austin FC. I like you. Do your own thing. I got one team in Texas. I do not need another one. I don't need that kind of pressure, and I don't need that kind of hell in my life. So I apologize. But all love to you, Austin FC. Now, let's get to another one. Let's get to United States Men's National Team FC. That would be the Colorado Rapids, the OG, 1996, with a rich United States Men's National Team history. A certain goalie by the name of Tim Howard used to dominate for the Colorado Rapids, as well as Brad Guzan. And I may have messed that up. Did Timmy play for Colorado? I know Guzan did, but so. I may have jacked that up. But Either way, a rich United States men's national team heritage for the Colorado Rapids, which continues now based on the signings that they made this offseason, right, Drew?
Yes.
Oh, and coach.
So
I apologize.
yes. And they really needed it. They were dead
Yeah.
last in the West last year, and they realized that as they made 28 transactions in this offseason.
And what do
Uh,
we call that? What do we call that? That is full FIFA plus the extra money added in with salary or with transactions on easy.
Yeah, absolutely terrible. But I mean, it was probably needed. And they got a lot of bang for their buck. U.S. men's national team players that have come in: Zach Steffen from Manchester City, Sam Vines, left back for Royal Antwerp in Belgium, and attacking mid Georgi Mihalovic has returned from his stint in the Eredivisie.
FIFA
Um,
God.
so pretty good signings, and honestly, I would say their head coach has a lot of history as well. Chris Armas, former Red Bulls and Toronto manager, a veteran coach that I think honestly is there to just right the ship and just get these players back to performing at a level that is better than dead last in the West.
So you, sir, and your youngness, um, are so bothersome sometimes because just like with Caleb Porter, you conveniently just kind of left out the fact that Chris Armas was a monster in the MLS. Not really a monster, but played in the MLS for the Galaxy and the Chicago Fire, 98 through 20 or 2007, 214 appearances for the Chicago Fire and 66 appearances for your United States men's national team. You better put some respect on that man's name. He's not just a coach. Damn, we ain't just coach. We played too. But
Uh,
I'm here. I'll tell the funny story because I'm not picking Colorado. Obviously, we're talking about them right now. When we were going through teams, and I'm going back and forth with Drew, I pointed out they have Georgi Mihalovic now. They have Sam Vines, and he goes, "Yeah," and Zach Steffen. I said I didn't say that was a plus. Um, Zach Steffen needs this season more than any player who is trying to play for the United States men's national team.
yeah,
Nobody needs a quality. I don't even know if or not great. It doesn't have it would be wonderful if it was great, but
yeah,
nobody needs just a calm, regular season more than Zach Steffen does. And I hope he does it. I want nothing more for him to actually be challenging Matt Turner. We are a better team
yeah,
when soccer, international soccer is the exact opposite of some other sports. They say if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have any. If you have if you have two goalies, that's great. We don't really have a goalie right now who has established himself like a Timmy Howard, like a Brad Guzan, and other guys in the past. One of these guys needs to do it in Turner and in Steffen, and I think, and we know this. You can be an MLS goalie and play for this United States men's national team. You're going to get your call up. So good luck, Zach. But I love me some not Colorado. Sorry.
fair. That's very fair.
All right, moving on to our next team, the Fighting Ferreras, FC Dallas, original OG. And like I was talking about Austin playing near Dallas, here is the team that literally plays in Dallas. An OG, can we? Is it fair to just say FC Dallas's like youth program is, I mean, if not number one in the MLS, very close behind in terms of the product that they turn out year in, year out that moves on and moves to bigger teams and moves to Europe. Tell the people about FC Dallas.
I mean, you're absolutely right. Currently, Jesus Ferreira is there, plays for the men's national team all the time. But another bigger name that all you would know, Ricardo Pepi, who is currently scoring goals in the top team in the Eredivisie. So you are absolutely right. However, with the talent is there in the youth, but if we're talking pure star power, it hasn't been there lately. They're seventh in the West last year. They lost to Seattle in the first round. They seem to just kind of be good enough to make it, but not good enough to go far. But it might change.
Yeah.
They have acquired Petar Musa from Benfica. I think it is a massive improvement.
But
However,
there's a but.
this also kind of puts Jesus Ferreira in a very awkward position. He was going to make his move to Russia. The transfer move fell through. We're assuming that this was because Petar Musa was coming in. Now he's going to be challenging for a spot that he might not win. And so I know we like to all poke fun at Jesus Ferreira that sometimes he doesn't, make good play well against tough opponents for the U.S. and stuff like that. But you always want to see them playing, especially with someone who has talent like Jesus Ferreira. So to see that might not be great for U.S. fans, but for FC Dallas, Petar Musa is a very good player, and so
Oh
that
yeah.
might elevate their play. So kind of good, kind of bad.
Right, kind of depends how you look at it there. FC Dallas, same as Austin. I got one Dallas problem. I don't need two. I'll say this. We talked about this on our United States men's national team pod. There is no name that kind of brings up more animosity between United States men's national team fans than the name Jesus Ferreira. Okay. So I'm not going to lie. I tend to lean on he's picking his spots against certain opponents, and he's not always good against more quality opponents. And therefore, I can't ride with that. Would be unfair for me to then pick a team who I'm just going to criticize their best player or one of their best players week in, week out.
That's fair.
Moving on. This is another easy one. Another somewhat newcomer, Houston Dynamo FC. This is very simple. This is the same as New York City FC. You see the color scheme. You know what other team plays in Houston. I'm not rooting for these cheaters, just like I don't root for the Astros, even though there's no need to be calling them cheaters. And I apologize, Houston Dynamo, but absolutely not. But enough of my hating. Tell these people about Houston Dynamo.
Listen, I was gonna say you can hate even more because their best player is Mexican international Hector Herrera.
Right.
So
Like this was
not
never
even
going to
worth
work.
it.
Was
Yeah,
never going to work for us. I'm sorry, Houston. Although I do love it. I do love that in Houston that they do have a Mexican international, because one of the reasons we don't go to Houston as the United States men's national team is because we get out fanned. Okay. It's like
yeah,
4 of us white boys in the
100%.
crowd, and that's it. Okay. So we don't go there. Like, you have to pick your strategic spot so you have the home field advantage. So, but
No, yeah, I completely agree. Houston Dynamo, kind of been iffy the past couple years, but last year really turned it on. Fourth in the West, they lost in the conference finals to LAFC, a very big improvement from years past. Pretty quiet offseason. I think they're just resting on their players. However, I mentioned Hector Herrera. He is not expected to be back for the start of the MLS season. So if I think it really depends on, and this will be really telling on how the season is going to go, can Houston play well without Hector Herrera? Because if they can't, this shows the entire MLS. If you shut Hector Herrera down, you are going to win against Houston. And I think that is going to be a very big tell and a very big challenge early on in this year.
agreed. Like I said, I'm not rooting for you cheaters. Okay. And you have the player from the international team that is our biggest rival. No, like, just no. They'll be there though. How long has it been reported that Herrera would be out for? I apologize.
So
Put you
it's
on
very
put
vague.
you on the spot. It's still vague. Okay,
It's very
that was
vague.
why I asked.
In the
Because
MLS, I don't think you have to disclose the length of
okay,
injuries,
which
and
would make
so
sense, because when I looked up and tried to figure it out, I couldn't find anything. So that would make sense.
they are very much. Well, people are speculating it's very much weeks to maybe a month or two. So it's
Okay.
like a depending on how he recovers from his injury.
They should still make the playoffs,
Yeah.
but they could struggle early on. So, but we will see. Okay, keeping it rolling. We're getting long, but that's all right. That's what we do. It's a good preview. Sporting Kansas City, 1996, an OG of all of the OGs. Sporting, and here, I'll be honest, and I should have said this with the New England Revolution. So, in picking the team that I picked, okay, or am going to pick between the two teams that I had, they were both OGs, so maybe that spoils it a little. But I've never really had a fond memories of Sporting Kansas City or the New England Revolution.
That's
I
fair.
know there was some Landon Donovan time there at Sporting Kansas City, but no. But tell us about the real stuff about Sporting Kansas City, the things that people care about.
Yeah, I mean, Sporting Kansas City wasn't terrible last year. They were eighth in the West. They lost to Houston in the conference semifinals after upsetting number one seed St. Louis, which was an awesome thing to watch. However,
That was the Earthquakes, not San Diego. Or Sporting Kansas City. I apologize.
oh, okay. Um, however, they have made absolutely zero signings.
Right.
And for a team that finished eighth in the West, losing players and not signing anybody doesn't look good. And so I have Sporting Kansas City really taking a step back this year instead of taking a step forward. So, yeah, tough look for Kansas City and Kansas City fans because I don't know if they're going to do anything worth note this year.
Yeah, no, I agree. Other than our guy, who plays still at Kansas City, or no, Graham there?
Susie is there. Susie is there.
Oh, Zuzi. Spoiler alert. There is an all-time fondness for Graham Zuzi over here on this side of the pod. Not that little bro has any like hate towards Graham Zuzi, but I love me some Zuzi. One of the best all-time free kick takers in MLS and United States men's national team history. That man can hit a free kick like no other. Still to this day, I take him over Christian Pulisic to take
To
our
this
free
day.
kick. To this day, I stand on it. I stand on my business. That didn't even make any sense. But it is what it is. But no, sorry, no love for you, Sporting Kansas City, other than you, Zuzi. Love you, Zuzi, but sorry. All right. So let's get to another newcomer. But once again, this newcomer thing has a theme. LAFC. Yes, in 2018, they decided that there was plenty of room in Los Angeles for another team, and LAFC have not just come in and won, but come in and spent some money. Giochini, Carlos Vela, who am I missing? I know there was more, but money has been spent on the LAFC. That's just what I remember off the top of my head, not even diving in. But they are looking to be the first team in MLS history. I'm sorry, the second to go to back MLS Cups, which would be an impressive achievement. The other team to do that, Taylor Twellman's New England Revolution, and they lost all three.
Wow.
Yeah, listen. And you thought just little bro was going to bring you some MLS facts. Talk to me about LAFC.
Yeah. LAFC, honestly, since they've come on, have been really the big spenders, the flashy names, kind of how the Galaxy were back in the day. It was maybe it wasn't the best players, but it was the players that was going to get your attention. And after this season, they were third in the West and they went all the way MLS Cup where they lost to Columbus. They've done it again. They've signed former Tottenham goalkeeper Hugo Lloris, which is honestly not a terrible idea. They needed a massive improvement in goalie, and so that's not a bad signing. However, they did lose Giorgio Chiellini to retirement, and Carlos Vela is still a free agent, has not re-signed with the team. So, a strong squad. However, I feel like they're starting to get a little complacent with their team. And so, you said they have a chance to go back to back to back to back. With some of these Western Conference teams improving, I don't know if LAFC has honestly, in lack of a better term, the cojones to go back to a third MLS Cup.
Whew. Wow. Shots fired. Drew's feisty on his MLS, okay? Because the man has been invested for years now. So I give him his love there. LAFC, rivals with the Galaxy, El Trafico, as it's called, a new but major rival in MLS. I'm going to ask you towards the end of the pod to rank MLS rivalries. So I'm giving you your heads up now to go click on a screen and go do some typing.
It's all up here.
Well, I meant if you needed to actually list them yourself real quick.
No
but,
way.
So that would be that. Yeah, the problem with, and I mean, Inter Miami is going to run into this as well. It's great to bring in some veterans and some top players, but if you're not building up your youth system at all and you're not replenishing the money, it's going to be an issue. But I think LAFC will actually here. I have a prediction. I think they are not going to be as good as they were last year. I do not think they will make a final,
Oh,
and I
wow.
think yeah, and I think they will still make the playoffs, but I do not think they will make the final. I do not think it'll be 3 in a row for
So you
LA.
agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, this is funny. Our next team on the squad, Minnesota United FC. They do realize that the season is starting, right?
Oof. I don't know. I don't know if they do, if I'm being completely honest.
Okay. Tell the people what I'm talking about because I'm just kind of talking. I know people are going to be like, "What? What do you mean? The season starts next week. That's why you're doing a preview." Drew, tell the people why I said that.
Yeah, so they finished 11th in the West last
Yep.
season, which isn't great, but you know, you you get your players in, you get new players, and then if you have to, you change a coach or you keep the coach because you put faith in them. Minnesota did not do any of that. They
Nope.
decided they were going to go halfway through the second option of or the first option of firing the coach, and then just didn't hire a coach. Now, there's a reason for it. The new sporting director was just put in place, and he just got to America like a week ago, and so they're still in the process of finding a head coach. But having this much uncertainty a week before the season is never good. And even if you get in a guy, a week or two from now, or even like even if you sign him today, having less than a week of prep
Not enough.
time
Not enough.
is not enough. And you were going to see Minnesota struggle in these first couple of weeks without a clear vision. And whenever the coach gets on, you were going to see a struggle there from the transition to a new system.
Jose Mourinho is available. We
There's
want him.
I don't think
We
the whole state of Minnesota
we.
has enough money to pay Jose Mourinho's salary.
Oh, that is very unfair to the whole state of Minnesota, Mister. Number one, Jose Mourinho is available. We want him here in America, anyways, to coach the United States men's national team.
That's
What
true.
better way to then just get him into the MLS and let's go? I also just want to. We'll get it out of the way now. Like I said, I was not well. My name was thrown into the ring for the high school job. I do not know if my name has been thrown into this Minnesota coaching ring yet.
Why not?
Why
Why
not?
not?
I'm available for conversation. You would have to talk to me and little bro. He will be doing the negotiations with us. But like I said, we'll take the Straub Bros Sports Show on the road to literally MLS games. I'm here for it. Awful. Minnesota.
On the sideline, halftime
Minnesota.
interviews.
I had a couple things. I know you're not good. And that's not good because if I know you're not good, that means you're not good. You don't have a coach. Was like what? So you don't know what you're doing as a club. So I apologize. That automatically make you go back. And I know we don't talk about baseball rivalries very often, but nah, Minnesota Twins can't do it. Get out
That's
of here.
very fair. That's
See
very
you
fair.
later. All right, moving on to the newcomer. I mean, because if you want to talk about newcomers who come in and go to finals, let's talk about the one that actually went there and won one, and that would be the Portland Timbers, joined in 2011. And can we? Okay, fun things about the Timbers. Do they have the best celebration in MLS?
It's fun. It's a lot of fun. Um, Honestly, due to a lack of a better answer.
And
What's up,
welcome
David?
back.
How we
And
doing?
welcome
Joining
back
back
to
in.
and welcome back from Cedar Hill, Texas. Back 2 nights in a row. We appreciate you. We're talking
Um,
MLS. And if you
Due
don't
to
know
lack
the
of a better
MLS,
option, then yeah.
yeah, if you don't know the MLS, stick around. You're gonna learn some today, because like I am. So if the people don't know, what I'm talking about is when Portland scores a goal, an actual timber gets on top of a log, and in the most American thing ever, they light up a fire up the chainsaw, and they saw through the log. I mean, it's stupid, but soccer
It's sick.
celebrations are stupid. So that's why I said, is it the best?
It might be, honestly. I because lack of I cannot think of a better one right now.
Just off the top of your head. Uh,
Yeah.
Portland's good. Well,
Portland's.
Portland has been good, not is good. I apologize. Wrong verb. They are actually they have been good.
Yes. So you said they have been good. This season was unprecedented for them. They were 10th in the West, which was the first time ever in their history that they did not make the playoffs. Absolutely, upsetting times for Portland. They're usually a very big powerhouse, along with Seattle up in the Northwest. But they have done something that you will love.
I know.
They fired their manager, and they have signed ex-Inter Miami manager because that's their most recent, but also ex-Manchester United player Phil Neville as their new manager.
Phil Neville, brother of Manchester United legend and football god Gary Neville, and great podcast host Gary. You ever want to talk to us?
Love Gary Neville, so funny.
Would love to talk to you. I will just dump on Chelsea the entire time with you
Appreciate
to
it.
make fun of bro. But I also love to point out, first of all, love Phil, although he did leave United earlier than, obviously Gary was a lifer. But the best part about Phil and Gary Neville is you have to tell everyone what their father's name is. Obviously, you have Phil Neville, you have Gary Neville. Their dad's name is Neville. So yes, their dad's name is Neville. That's all. Yes, that's. Oh, you didn't know that. I absolutely love that you did not know that. That is amazing.
That, but also this, and I want to put this up.
Oh, you're such a. I knew you
We're it's an MLS podcast, but we got it. This is great. Thank you, David. You have made my Friday. You've made my weekend, if I'm being honest.
I have none of my Cowboy stuff near me. So
Thank you.
Listen, we them boys. I don't care. Rain Dakota, Trey Lance. We're coming next year.
Also, I want to put this in real quick.
Yeah.
Phil Neville has stated that he has gotten the full backing of the front office at Portland. So there is a lot to improve in Portland, but expect some big signings coming within the next couple weeks, maybe months, potentially in the summer when Europe starts to come out too.
It's worth pointing out that is not a fan base that is going to accept mediocrity for longer than it's already been, which has been what, 1 year?
Yeah.
So no, a turnaround will happen in Portland. Like you can almost guarantee that. All right, moving on to Real Salt Lake, unoriginal, an OG. There you see them. Or no, I'm sorry, not an OG, basically an OG. The 05, 06 teams are basically OGs, but Real Salt Lake, a team with some history, United States men's national team players, and I have to actually hit the Google search because all of their names were in my head and they just dropped as I switched the screen. But a United States men's national team history, a relatively successful club, playoffs most years. Talk to us about Real Salt Lake.
Yeah, not one of those like super popular teams that you hear like a Galaxy or a Miami or even a Columbus at some point, but always a very sturdy team that always gets you a good results year in year out. And that was shown by last year where they were fifth in the West. They lost to a very hot Houston team in the first round. They do need some improvement from their current players, but it has shown that their ownership isn't afraid to spend money. And so they have a big youth coming in with Diego Luna. He's like 18-year-old from the United States national team, has played, looked very well, and they do have some vets on there. So if the improvement comes, they're going to be really good. But that's the big if is, are those players going to improve?
It was Kyle Beckerman. That's who I couldn't grab. United States men's national team definitely had a great World Cup run, the one he was there for. But Kyle Beckerman, a lifer, I think, pretty sure for Real Salt Lake. And Nick Raimondo, that's who I was thinking of as well, former goalie as well. Real Salt Lake, it's Utah, bro. I mean, I love Utah. And we didn't talk about this, so I guess obviously we just went over it. Portland, I can't do hipster stuff, man. Like Portland, I love y'all. Y'all cool. Like I'm thankful for y'all. Y'all gonna save the trees and the planet. I appreciate you because I ain't gonna be doing it. But y'all go ahead and saw and do your chainsaw stuff. I don't operate heavy equipment like that and machinery. But Real Salt Lake, kind of the same thing.
It's Utah, man.
You're Utah. Y'all do y'all Utah thing. Hold it down in Utah, and I'll let y'all be you. Moving on. That's who I meant when I was talking about Landon Donovan, and that would be the San Jose Earthquakes, an OG, a cursed franchise. Sometimes I think you could say, but the San Jose Earthquakes. Talk to us about them.
Yeah, they've been kind of middling, not good enough to really do anything
Right.
in the playoffs, not bad enough to really need a rebuild. And honestly, this last past season and this offseason kind of just tells the story. They were ninth in the West. They lost to Sporting Kansas City in the wild card game. And what did they do in the offseason? They lost Cade Cowell because he went to Chivas, and they
Right.
replaced him with back-to-back Norwegian Golden Boot winner Amal Pellegrino. But that's it. So it was a very lateral offseason where they lost some good players. They got some good players. So I don't think San Jose really does anything for me. They kind of are going to stay the exact same as they've been.
Yeah. Here's what it comes down to for me. Landon Donovan wanted to be a part of this team as well at some point, and they weren't very nice to him. And so for that, you're automatically out. I mean, it's just this team. I am very surprised that this team never actually got relocated or kind of was a potential site for someone else. Just in
Yeah,
general, like I'm honest. I really thought that at some point this would be the team to go. Um, there is the San Diego team was trying
coming
very
soon.
hard to get in, and San Jose was not very nice, and neither was a lot of the other teams kind of geographically around that area were not very nice in the helping that bid either. But sorry, San, you're just So
Yeah.
sorry. But yeah, let's keep it rolling to, I mean, Juggernaut since they walked in the door, and that would be the Seattle Sounders, probably one of the more famous MLS clubs.
With the new logo.
With right, that threw me off. I'll be honest with you, because I didn't recognize that. But I kind of like it. The original logo, you'll kind of in here. We could throw them up real quick. There's some that are really good, and there's some that are just, huh?
What's your favorite, by the way? Because I think I would have to say, just like not being a homer, I love FC Cincinnati's. I think it just looks really good as a crest.
It's a
But I
proper badge.
also,
That's a
yeah, but
that's a, that's a proper football badge.
I also just really like Minnesota's and no, yeah, Minnesota's. I don't know why. I think just the bird coming up with the
Yep.
star. I think it's
Um,
really well done.
I'm a fan of proper football badges, so I got to give credit to some that I don't want to give credit to. So yes, your Cincinnati one, New York FC's, that's a proper logo. LAFC's, I do like St. Louis's as well, like the newer ones, obviously. Phillies, I like those newer designs. The Inter Miami's, they look like proper ones. Of the what you're going to notice is the ones that kind of stick out are the older ones. FC Dallas, the LA Galaxy, the Colorado kind of revamped theirs a bit, but a lot of the ones that kind of look sometimes are some of the older ones. The Crew one is awful. I love the Columbus. I got love for the Crew, but that is a tough one. And Drew, I'm going to leave you to that. That is George. Oh, you're already on it, my guy.
I'm already on it.
Pulling up those jerseys, but that's all right because I can talk about Seattle. Seattle was in the final 3 of my teams. Okay, because they have probably my favorite United States men's national team guy. He's my Danny Salazar. Jordan Morris. Let's just get it out of the way. I love me some Jordan Morris. He should start every game for the United States men's national team. At least on my FIFA squad. But yes, they also have not just Christian Roldan, but younger brother, other Roldan. What do you want?
Yeah, from Honduras.
Honduras. Yes, they have little brother. So big bro, little bro. We've got big Roldan, little Roldan. But talk to us about Seattle. Oh, I think I lost little bro there for a second, but that's all right. So, jump over. Seattle finished second in the West. They lost to LAFC in the conference semis. But this is very similar to when we talk about LAFC or Philly. Nobody, and they have not, or nobody on the fan base is going to allow them to be bad for very long. And they have not really had very many bad seasons in the MLS.
That's very true. That is very, very true.
We lost you. Are you back?
Sorry about me. I
That's
am
okay.
back. This is what
All right.
happens when you try to do things on a computer when you were live streaming at that point. But I am, you know what? Honestly, maybe gonna get this video taken down. I'm putting up these jerseys because, oh my lord,
Are we
boys.
jumping back? Are we okay? Hold on. So he was looking up Minnesota FC's jerseys. Go ahead, throw the jersey up.
Yeah, give me 2 seconds.
Okay.
Um,
Wow. So here
yeah,
we'll
keep.
finish up on Seattle. Most, like you said, a lot of depth signings. They filled up the back end of the roster this year. They're going to be in play for an MLS Cup for the Supporter Shield. They're going to be up there with FC Cincinnati, the Columbus Crew, LAFC, whoever you have up there in the top. Seattle will be there behind the monster that is Jordan Morris. Did I give you enough time? This guy.
Unfortunately not, but we'll catch it at the end of the show. We'll
That's
catch it
fine.
at the end of the show.
All right. Since you left me hanging, anything else to throw in about Seattle?
Um, God, Seattle. Like you said, I'm assuming you said, a very historic club, played really, really well last season, second in the West, lost to LAFC in the conference semis. I think they're just trying to they're kind of stay in the conversation with LAFC and those favorites. They basically just hit a lot of depth signings. Their starting
I
squad
did
is
mention that.
great.
Right.
They just need to kind of have a complete rounded roster.
Monster rival with next door Portland. And like we said, with Portland, and as I already mentioned, a fan base that is not going to allow a team to be mediocre or bad at all.
Yeah, I completely agree.
All right, let's hit the newcomer with a great badge.
Yes.
St. Louis City SC. Yes, brand new to the league. I love this. Well, not brand new to the league last year. I'm going to go out on a little bit of a tangent here myself. St. Louis is a bleeping monster soccer market. Okay. They are filling in they're sold out. There is like 4,000 people on the waiting list signed up for season tickets. It's like an outrageous number. And I that may
That
be
is
off. I
crazy.
apologize. But it is an outrageous amount that they are in for. My head coach when I was in soccer in high school came from a program in St. Louis that had won like three state championships back to back, like varsity, JV, all of the above, just would roll people. And he talked. Soccer is huge in St. Louis, so it's great to see them have a team, and it's great to see them just absolutely showing out. But let's talk about on the field, because once again, the theme, I'm gonna hammer it home. Not like regular expansion teams. They hit the ground absolutely sprinting, Usain bolting off the ground.
Yeah, no, they literally their first MLS season was this year.
Yes.
And they got first in the West. They were the
Right.
number 1 seed, but they showed their inexperience and lost to an OG in Sporting Kansas City in the first round of the playoffs, which unfortunately tends to happen a lot with these newer teams, because for a lot of fans of European soccer and don't watch a lot of professional sports, playoffs or like American professional sports, our playoffs are just a different animal. Yeah. You're not playing a weekday where it's Wednesday, even a Saturday at like 1:00 in the afternoon, where people are having a good time. This is an intense Saturday, Sunday night game where the just pressure is massively high, which is also a very good reason why I like the playoffs. Is the pressure and the anticipation and the excitement is just heightened, and it's a lot of fun to watch. And that's what St. Louis unfortunately had to deal with. They go into this offseason. They got some decent players. They did lose Nicolas Gioacchini to Como in Italy. So basically the same as Orlando. They're trying to avoid slumping after their first good season in the MLS. So we're going to see what happens there.
So we got to do a recap, because you let me slide on a couple of these. So obviously St. Louis or San Jose said no thank you. The Seattle Sounders, it's kind of the same as Portland. You're so far away, you might be in another country over there up in Seattle. Okay. St. Louis, like I just said, I have nothing but love and praise. But you're brand new and you just walked in the door. It would actually kind of make sense, I guess, if I jump onto a team that's got no history. But that's a tough one. Sorry, St. Louis. And one of my best friends and longtime friends, Zach, is a St. Louis Cardinals fan, and just no, there's just
And
no.
then, yeah, then screw them then.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So, but good luck to you, St. Louis. I absolutely want to see you continue to do well. All right, let's hit our last Canadian team. The Vancouver Whitecaps joined in 2011. Haven't really look at that. I dove into every team. They haven't done a lot. They
No.
have not done a lot this year, and I know you're going to back me up on that one.
Yeah, I mean they were okay this year. They were or last year they were sixth in the West. They lost to the MLS Cup on the West side, or the Western Conference, to LAFC in the first round. On the West side, not many new signings, not many key signings. I think they're really just hoping for improvement in their core, which it's very possible. But Vancouver, I don't think is going to be a favorite unless someone comes out of nowhere and has a breakout season. But I'm not too confident. I think Vancouver is just going to be another team that kind of just plays games and no one really notices until it's the end of the season. They're like, oh, they are in the playoffs, aren't they?
Right. So I have a question for you. Would it make more sense if all three can no but we're not gonna do it again. We're not gonna do it again. Yeah, like I said, I'm not riding with not no offense. I'm not picking a Canadian team as my team. So that will have to stay.
Yeah.
So before we
We
get
live
to
in
the
America
final
here.
yeah, I can't even do that. Before we get to the last two teams, because if you have been paying attention, there are two teams that we have not covered, one in each conference. But we want to hit those up. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That is Minnesota. Is that the home jersey?
Yeah.
You know what? I think we just found Renee's favorite team as well. Shout out to her with the Target logo. She'll be riding with a Minnesota
Those are
FC.
beautiful.
That is absolutely sexy. That is gorgeous. That's worth me saying enough descriptive words to get us the MA mature rating on the podcast itself. Those are sexy, baby. Okay, Drew.
All righty.
The people are ready. I'm gonna take care of the graphic on this one because little bro himself does not actually know which team I am riding with this year. But if you've been paying attention for the last hour and 37 minutes, or if you just showed up and you scrolled through to the good part, you know that there are two teams left. So we are going to cover one, and then obviously the last team left will be the team that I have selected. So, spoiler alert, the two teams left are the Columbus Crew and the LA Galaxy. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit from both teams. Okay. Now, I obviously, if you follow the Straub Bros Sports Show, I don't hate or have disdain for Cleveland or Ohio or Columbus, like I am accused of very often, being that I am a Dallas Cowboys, a Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and a Manchester United has nothing to do with that, but I root for those two teams. Those are my two loves. Those are my two babies. I don't root for the Ohio State Buckeyes until I started to be in the media and I needed to retire some of my biases. I actively rooted against Ohio State. I'm not going to root for the UC Bearcats because why would anyone do that unless you go there? But Columbus and me have a rocky relationship. I like the Blue Jackets, but I would never like actually root for them. But the thought and the process of going through the pod, and we'll let the people into the Snapchat chat, because that's where me and Drew do our biz and talk our talk all day long. Drew's thing to me was, I want you to be invested. I want you to be paying attention. I want you to take your smarts and your eyes when you watch soccer and watch this league. And I'm going to do that fully invested, like I said. So my choices came down to those two teams. For the record, the final three were the Galaxy, the Crew, and this is not in any order, Galaxy, Crew, the Sounders, and Nashville. Those were my four. Seattle 100% because of Jordan Morris. Okay. I love Jordan Morris so much that I was going to ride with his whole damn team just because. And I've always liked that Seattle atmosphere. That is an amazing place.
Yeah. Oh
They
yeah.
do play in the football stadium, but you wouldn't notice the difference. Okay. So it's not like when New England does it or when New York FC plays an awful Yankee Stadium.
Ugh.
But then you have the Galaxy. I mean, that is a team that I paid attention to when the MLS came around because they made big signings and stuff like that. So, but Big Bro's thing was our little bro's thing to Big Bro was, hey man, I need you locked in, okay? So, I mean, we have to be honest about this, okay? Manchester United, 12 Premier Leagues, the greatest English team of all time, the first original English treble, the Dallas Cowboys, the triplets, the Tom Landry, Roger Staubach, the greatness.
God, this is turning into a awful
You
teams
know,
podcast here.
Notre Dame, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. We talked about the Four Horsemen, the Heisman Trophy winners, the tradition, the thing that is, them. So, winners is who I root for. That's winners. But, and I think we're gonna switch this up. I think we're actually gonna talk my team first, and then they all haven't been good since the 2000s. Yeah, I know this. Which
comes
actually
from the City fan, by the way.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Comes from the City fan. So sorry, not all of us can have just random illegal money pumped into our clubs and then skip all of our fines and charges that have been lobbied against us. But that's for another day. So it's funny that you mentioned that those teams have not been good since the 2000s, because as much as I like my big brands and I like my big body teams, and Bro will attest to this, what I do not do is ride bandwagons. And I don't jump for flashes. So while this one team has been not just successful at the beginning, but they have been successful of late, there is absolutely no way that I could jump into an MLS season and an MLS pod and go full, all of a sudden I'm a New England Patriots fan, or all of a sudden I am a Kansas City Chiefs fan, or all of a sudden I root for, the Golden State Warriors. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, my MLS team for the 2024 season and foreseeable future, I already have the jersey. Your LA Galaxy. And not only do I own an LA Galaxy jersey, but what did I just talk to you all about? I said the Dallas Cowboys. I said Notre Dame. I said Manchester United. Yeah, baby. That's a Beckham. That's a 23. We're talking about legacy. We're talking about David Beckham, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Robbie Keane, and the man my son is named after, Landon Donovan. I couldn't turn that down. Okay? Mwah.
Oh, congratulations.
We're back.
Very good.
Now, I know we're young. Okay? We have Barcelona throwaway, as you all like to refer to him, but I refer to him as just a man who was misunderstood under the enormous lights that are and unfair lights that are Barcelona, and that would be my guy Puig. Okay, and I have mentioned all pod United States men's national team, and it was my own little bro that was like, "Hey, they've got a guy." And not just a guy, not a Pulisic, not a Musa, not a guy who's there every day, but Jalen Neal is a name to keep an eye on, a name that I will be updating you on during Americans Abroad on the Straub Bros Sports Show, even though they're not abroad, they're here. But yes, we're in. I'm in the Galaxy. El Trafico will be different this year. We are back. I am here. W pick. I appreciate that. I was very tempted to take the Crew because it's a close thing. I don't actually, other than the Guardians and the Cavaliers, I don't actually root for any of the other teams here in Ohio. I thought it might be fun. It would have been great to be in yo ass. every time they play. And listen, I almost did it just for the pod, ladies and gentlemen. Just for the pod and just to rub it in you. I almost went with the Crew. But, and I'm going to piss you off on purpose. So I picked the Galaxy. Western Conference all the way. We're going to make the playoffs this year. We're going to be a surprise. We're going to be like that AC. We're going to be the last seed in the playoffs, but we're going to make the playoffs. I will give you this, Columbus. Here is what you have from older brother of the Straub Bros Sports Show.
Oh boy.
I support you every time that you play Cincinnati.
Oh man.
Big move. But talk about my Galaxy. My Galaxy.
Oh, listen. Well, you're
Do you
coming
like
in at
pick?
a.
You like to pick?
I do. I'd like the pick. I think it was a very
On brand pick.
pick.
That is what you
exactly.
when I told you it was down to the Crew and the Galaxy, you said those are two very on brand teams for you. You will not go wrong.
Yes. I didn't think either choice was going to be bad. I think that your reason for not picking
crest.
I think your reason for not picking Columbus made sense. However, you are coming in at probably one of the worst times in LA Galaxy history.
Just like my other teams.
They are 13th. They finished 13th in the West last year. They have lost Chicharito and Douglas Costa and really haven't added any major replacements. You could be in a rough season. However, coming from a fan of a very young team in Chelsea, there is going to be very high highs.
Yes.
Like the 4-2 win over Tottenham or the 4-4 draw over City or the 2-2 draw over Arsenal. But there's also going to be a lot of lows, like a 4-2 loss to Wolves or a 3-1 that felt like a 7-0 loss to Liverpool, probably a 7-0 loss this week to City. So, honestly, this is a team that makes complete sense to you because there is going to be not a dull moment the entire season. So good luck to you, sir. I just checked it. We do not play this year, so I won't have to deal with your yapping the entire time.
What I was looking at. It's what I was looking at.
I will, at the very least, or at the greatest moment, I will see you in the MLS Cup if you get there.
I said playoffs. I did not think we would make it to the MLS Cup. Well, so here's my thing, because listen, although I guess it would have been funny considering I do root for Manchester United, who no longer wins, the Dallas Cowboy, who no longer wins, Notre Dame, who no longer wins. So it would have made sense to jump on Columbus now as they're winning, but why not just add LA to my existing teams that were good and no longer are? I think that just makes most sense. And I already own the jersey. Come on, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, no,
we can't pass that up. There is a certain free agent, okay, who played for the other LA team last year. What better way to stick it right back to your Los Angeles rivals, right across El Tráfico, who have come in and basically wiped you off the map in LA in terms of momentum and fandom, but then to go out and get Carlos Vela.
That'd be a lot of fun.
You had Chicharito, which I wish we would have done this. Man, me having Chicharito to scream at you every week would have been amazing. I don't care about 13th. But I'm just saying, go sign Carlos Vela. Let's go. And then it's playoffs for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you. And I will need it. So obviously that leaves one team and one team only left. And that would be your reigning, defending MLS World Heavyweight Champion. Yes, I brought out the belt. The Columbus Crew, the OG of OGs. 3-time MLS. Is it 3? 3-time MLS Cup champions. See, I knew that off the top of my head. Their first one being in 2007 when I was in college, and I had to listen to all the unsufferable MLS fans that I couldn't stand at the time celebrate it. Not a fan of yours, obviously, as you are as it's known as the Hell is Real rivalry. But we have to give some love to the Crew. Not only are they defending champions, They're the most talented team in the league, top to bottom, other than probably Inter Miami, but you could argue in terms of youth that they would rival or that they're better. They're favorites to repeat and return as champions. They haven't really had to reload or do anything because they're good. Talk to me about Columbus, man.
Oh, I really don't want to, but I will. Yeah, no, you're exactly right, and I'm going to try to cut the giving them props because two of my friends are on this pod right now and are big Columbus fans.
Is that why they didn't want me to pick Columbus? They didn't want me to bring that Cowboys and
I
Notre
don't know.
Dame
I mean,
mojo
probably,
in?
but that I think, but yeah, they are one of the most consistent teams the past 5 to 10 years. Well, actually, no, I'm completely wrong on that. They
This not.
are they are a team. They are a team that will win the MLS Cup, and then go and miss the playoffs the next year. So they have a very talented team, top to bottom. They are very stable. They are very just cohesive. But as a FC Cincinnati fan with the most bias in the world, I wish you nothing but a terrible year. I hope that you
Oh.
continue this tradition of missing the playoffs after winning the MLS Cup. No bad luck to you. No good luck. I will see you at Hell is Real. FC Cincinnati Stadium will be rocking. TQL Stadium will be rocking, as we do every single time we
We'll be
play.
there. We'll be there. We're gonna go. We're gonna go to one of these. Hell is real, just because we have to. I haven't double checked the schedule. If the Crew play my Galaxy, we will maybe try to take a visit to Columbus, since we don't get the fun of you playing them. I mean, but you got to talk about some names. No, Cucho Hernandez. They do have, although um, Aiden Morris, who I refer to between me and little brother as the Little Morris, who is not actually Little Morris. He's not related to Jordan Morris at all, but I call him Little Morris. Yeah, I'm gonna throw that up for you. Hell is real only for
See,
you.
the worst part is we beat them both times in the regular season, but they just had to beat us in the playoffs to make it that much worse.
So they just had to beat you when it mattered to make it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm in now. Yeah, I'm in now, baby. Let's go. Because there's nothing. Listen, the only thing better on the EPL pod when United beat Chelsea is if Arsenal beat Chelsea, because you're just a miserable bastard either way. So
It's so
if
and it's
I
worse.
can't beat
It's worse when
so
Arsenal
if
beat us.
right, so if I can't beat you, come on, come on, Crew, come on, bandwagon. But yeah, so the Crew look to repeat. I don't have them repeating, but I do not think this theme of championship into missing the playoffs, I don't think that is going to happen. Does it look like I'm wearing a jersey from when I
Yeah.
was in college? Because it
Oh no,
feels like I'm
you look fine. You look
because
good,
it
dude.
feels like I'm wearing a
You
jersey
look
from when
like
I was
Wayne
in
Rooney
college.
right now. Maybe when he retired at DC United, but you look like Wayne Rooney.
You know what? I'll take that. That's all right. I could still ball, but he could still ball, but I can't. Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Tears of he enjoys your tears of joy. Um, that was fun.
Wait,
Oh wait,
I
are we
have
not?
the rankings of the top rivalries.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I apologize. So, and here's what I'm gonna throw out. Here are the rivalries that mean something to me as somebody who does watch and notice. Well, not necessarily watch, but knows of the MLS, does watch from time to time, but knows of the rivalries. So there is now my Inter Miami and Orlando FC. Um, eh, mid, at best. El Trafico, which is a new rivalry but massive. My Galaxy, LAFC. The Hell is Real rivalry. We just talked about that. FC Cincinnati and the Columbus Crew. And I might spoiler alert this, but what I consider the rivalry of the MLS, and that would be Seattle and Portland. So
Took mine.
yeah, so I'm assuming I might have actually gone in your order, but give me your order.
So my one. Okay, so here I'll say this. El Trafico right now, I think, is a more like they generate more viewership than a Portland and Seattle.
Yeah.
But the deep rooted
Oh,
rivalry that a Portland
yes.
and Seattle has
Yes.
initially puts me at my one.
Yep.
My second will be El Trafico, just because because a the New York rivalry really isn't as big as it used to be.
Oh, I guess I should have mentioned that one. My bad.
But it's not as big as it used to be. It kind of seems like it dies down. El Trafico is massive every time they've played since they've come in. It's so fun to watch. They were supposed to play in the Rose Bowl last year to start off, but due to weather conditions, it got delayed.
Yeah.
So that is my two. And my three, and I think this might be a biased pick, but
Hell is real.
Hell is Real is my three. And I think this is just because the the little brother syndrome that Columbus thinks that Cincinnati has is one of the most infuriating things to ever be a part of. And this isn't just soccer. This is college football with Ohio State. This is regular hockey because they have more of actual teams and stuff like that. Well, Cincinnati has a minor league team. The superiority that Columbus shines on the rest of Ohio makes the rivalry so intense when they come to Cincinnati that I have to put it up as a top three just because of how fun it gets when Columbus comes to town and how the animosity that is between the two teams.
It was very hard when I was considering the crew to not talk about the fans and think about the fans, because I'm on the record as this. You Buckeye fans are some of the most obnoxious, awful people in the entire earth. Okay. You're I won't give you a percentage because it'd be like 0.1% because we suck as a world sometimes. But like, Buckeye fans are one of the reasons aliens fly over and go, nah, man, we're not even stopping. Like, we're just gonna draw a symbol in your cornfield and fly away. Um, since he isn't even in Ohio.
Tyler,
Yeah.
I know where you live.
Okay. Whoop.
I know where you live.
Don't get us.
There's no
Don't
Cincy disrespect here.
don't get us
No,
banned.
no, no, no.
For the record, YouTube, that's his friend, so he didn't actually threaten anybody. He doesn't know. My goodness, you're gonna get us kicked off already. Cincinnati's not in Ohio. Yeah, and Columbus ain't the king. You can be the capital all you want, but you ain't the king of nothing. Okay? Ask Michigan how
Third best city in Ohio.
Third.
Maybe fourth.
Cleveland number 1. Bedford number 2.
Get out of here. Cincinnati. Cincinnati's 2. I like Cleveland, but Cincinnati is 2.
Bedford Heights 3. Oakwood 4.
Parma 75,000.
I just alienated. I'd like 7 people watching this podcast will understand what the hell I'm talking about there. Walton Hills is dead last. But yes. So hey, this is gonna be fun. So what we are gonna do is obviously as we move along into the MLS season, it's Toledo. Yeah, listen.
If Cincy's not in Ohio, it's in Kentucky. Toledo's in Michigan, so I don't want to hear it.
I feel like Cameron over here, like Cleveland, Dayton, Youngstown, Cincinnati. He mentioned Cincinnati last. He mentioned Cincinnati last. Well, no, I'm not talking car commercial. I'm talking Cameron. He mentioned Cincinnati last.
That's for last, baby.
Right. This is gonna be fun. 100%. Not just the emoji. The MLS season is gonna be fun. We're gonna have a great time, and we get to all watch Messi. So let's put that first. We all get to watch Messi. So let's all watch Messi, and then we'll all root for our teams to beat Messi. 4-3, Messi gets the hat trick, but your team wins. That's what we're all rooting for at this point. Footy Fridays is not always going to be a thing. We would like it to be a thing at some point, full time, but it's not always going to be a theme. As we get into March, it probably will come up more often as we get very heavy on college basketball. It's March Madness time. We're going full in as a show in the men's and women's tournament. So when you see us on that Thursday in the middle of the tournament, don't come here looking for news. Don't go there looking for the footy. You know what you're getting. You're getting Caitlin Clark as your Straub Bro of the week next week. Spoiler alert.
That's obviously.
Okay, that's what you're getting, and you're getting Hannah Hidalgo talk. Okay, and then Drew's going to talk about his Bearcats losing a big game again. But we are going to dive into this MLS thing. We're obviously going to be keeping track of EPL. We're going to be keeping track of the United Blues. We will talk our English Premier League, but there's going to be a heavy emphasis on that English Premier League and my LA Galaxy. So that is what we're going to talk about the most. LA, we will have a segment called Ken's Galaxy where we explore the galaxy that is my galaxy. But yes,
A lot
I'm
of
in.
pain in that galaxy.
A lot of pain. That's all right. Sorry. Listen, hope. We have hope. Okay, I'm like a Cleveland Browns fan. Like we have hope this year.
Hope is what gets you, man. Hope
No.
is what gets you.
So yes, as a reminder, there you are. I've got mine in the Western Conference. He's got his in the Eastern Conference. The only way we'll play this year is when I win the MLS Cup final.
Whew.
Spicy.
You are setting that hope way too high, buddy.
Absolutely. This has been fun. This has been a great 2 hours with you. This was supposed to be a 35 to 45-minute podcast, an hour plus later.
Never was going to happen.
Absolutely. So let's give the props to everybody else. As always, the 216 Sports Network is where you can find us. 4th and 15 with Mel and Smooth, the Jay Rich Show, the Ruler's Minute with Rico McGee, Outside Interference, and us, Straub Bros Sports Show, regularly on Thursdays at 5:15 when we bring you to Footy Friday. Obviously, we talk to you at Friday at 5:15. Man, anything else to throw at the people? Oh, I do. I will be at the CSU women's game tomorrow. So look out on the Twitter for live tweets throughout the game, and then check out on the Facebook, my Facebook page, the 216 Sports Network Facebook page, and our Twitter account, because I will have videos, I will have footage, and of course, I will have interviews after the game with Coach and probably my girl Mickey, because she will be on fire again. Mickey Purdue killing it for the CSU women. Anything for you to throw in there?
Yep, Bearcats play UCF 4:00 tomorrow. Big game. Let's go. Listen, if you just shout out CSU, I get to shout out my Bearcats. I don't care. Go Bearcats. Please, we need this win desperately, so please don't lose.
Absolutely. I love it. Big bro, little bro, we love you. Thanks for rocking with us on Friday Footy. And remember, as always, everyone, to love yours.
Have a good weekend, everybody.